Hey, what's up guys, Steve Lee from Revolve Studio and welcome back to another new tutorial. And today I'll be showing you on how to burn down a room inside of After Effects. So apparently there's a lot of similar tutorials on YouTube, but just most of them doesn't have the effects that I really want, so I decided to make my own. I'll post the link in the description down below for all the footage that I use. And for the fire footage, you can go and check out VideoCopilot's Action Essential Fire Pack, or you can go and search online for the free footage. So in this shot, I used cameras on tripod to have a static shot, or you can just take a picture, go ahead and open up a new project, and then we are going to import all of our footage. So I've got them ready, so I'm just going to drag and drop them onto here. And then we're going to take the original footage and drag and drop it onto this little icons here. Since my shot is just a static shot and doesn't have any movement, so we're not going to go for the 3D camera tracks option. So the first thing that we want to do is we're going to add fires around the door frame. So I've got my fire footage ready in here, and we're just going to import this one first. Then we're going to press F4 and make it a 3D layer. And let's go ahead and place it into the position. Let's press P and just move it back. It looks like the fire is in the wrong direction, so we're just going to select this, right click, transform, and flip horizontal, and then just realign this thing. Let's change the full resolution, and then we're going to zoom into the layer and readjust the position and the rotation of this fire. And then we're going to take the pen tool and mask out the layer that is behind. Then we're gonna hit M and change the mask to subtract. And then we're gonna do the same for here as well and change it to subtract. Then we're gonna press F on the keyboard to bring out feather properties. And let's just make like 15 for both of this. Now maybe for the mask too, we're gonna go for a little bit more. Maybe just increase it. Yep. Okay, then we're gonna take another fires and drop it into here, and we're gonna make a 3D layer and move it into the position. Let's change to a quarter. We're just gonna flip this, right click, transform, flip horizontal, and then just align it into the position. And then press R, and then you can rotate. Then we're gonna take the pen tool and mask out this area, and then press M on the keyboard and change it to subtract. Let's take our last fire and drop it onto the comp, and then we're gonna rescale it, and this time we don't have to make it a 3D, and then just rotate this so it aligns at the side of here. Okay, what we're gonna do with this layer is we're gonna make it looks like the fire is wrapping around the door and to the wall, so it looks like a U shape. So let's go to the effects and preset and look for mesh warp and drag and drop onto our fire 01 footage. Then we're gonna change the property up here to 3. Let's zoom in here. Let's start by moving this point into here, and we're gonna distort the fire so it looks like it's wrapping around the door. And you can play around with the pinpoint as well. So we're gonna keep an eye on the border of this fire so it doesn't look fake. Okay, once we're done, we'll have a little something like this. So it looks like it's actually wrapping around. You know what? Just gonna move it there a little bit so it's much better. Let's make some adjustment here. That done. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna color correct this fire so it looks the same with the rest. So let's go to the effects and preset and search for an effect called curves, and then we're gonna drag and drop onto our big fire, and we're gonna boost up the green channel and then the red channel by half. And then we're going to increase the RGB of this overall. Just like that. Then bring this a little bit. And maybe boost up the alpha. Just a touch. Let's have a quick preview. Okay, let's just make the size smaller for this one. The next thing that we want to do is we're going to add fire stain and burn mark onto the walls and the door. So let's take the burn wall and place it into here. Let's make it a 3D layer, and then we're going to rotate. Press R and then just rotate and move it into the position like that. Then in the layer we want to press F4 and change the blending mode to multiply. Then we're just going to make adjustment to the position that we want. Okay, there's this little border. We can just take the pen tool, select this, zoom in, just draw a rough mask around. And then we're going to press F and increase the feather. Let's go ahead and duplicate this burn wall mark. Let's go here and press Ctrl D to duplicate, and then we're going to move the next one to here. And then we can scale and rotate to fit this into our scene. And then we're going to zoom in and fix the mask so that it doesn't cover up the door. Next, we're going to take the oil stain and move it onto a comp. And then we're just going to change it to full. And then just scale this thing up and align it. Let's just change the corner like this. And change the blending mode to multiply. So let's just going to roughly align it onto here. And then we're going to take the pen tool and draw a rough mask around the door frame. And then we're going to press F and then key in the value 15. And then we're going to shut this layer off and then draw a quick mask. Let's change it to full and draw a mask around the door frame that we're going to cut out. And then we're going to change this to subtract. And then we can turn on and see the door mark only applies on the wall. Then we can make some adjustment on top of that. Let's go and look for effect curves. Drag it here. And then we can make some adjustment on here. And just like that, just some slight adjustment. And once we're done, we're going to take the burn wood texture and drag it here. And this layer will be overlay on top of the door so it looks burned. So let's go ahead and rotate this. Press F4 and let's make it a 3D layer. We can rotate this. Okay, then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the pen tool, turn this layer off, and then we're gonna create a rough mask around the door frame. Select this layer and then we're gonna create a rough mask of the door frame. And then we're gonna turn it on. Then press F4. And we're going to change the blending mode to multiply. Then we wanted to create another mask around here so it looks like the fire doesn't burn this area yet. And then we're going to press M and change this mask to subtract. And then we're going to press F and increase the feather for like 50. No, maybe we can go for more. And we can always go back and make some adjustment. We can play around with the shape so it looks random on the burn mark. So the next step we're going to do is we're going to mask out this stairs right here so that the fires and all the burn mark looks like actually behind the subject. So let's go ahead and duplicate this layer. Press Ctrl D to duplicate, and then we're going to move it to the top layer and then solo it. Then we can take the pen tool and start drawing around the mask right here. And if this area is a little bit too dark for you, you can go ahead and go here and increase the exposure for a bit so you can see better. Then we can start to work on that. We're just gonna roughly go through this. One more thing is that we don't have to actually roll out the whole stairs. We can just go and focus on the half of here because the fire doesn't get here. So we just want this part. Once you're happy with the result, we can turn this on. And let's unsolo this layer and turn on this layer, and then we can see better which is the area that we want to fix for a little bit. So let's go in here and make some fine tune. So we can see that there is this minor errors in here, so we're just gonna fix it. Okay, let's go to oil stain and take the pen tool and remove this. And then press M on the keyboard and change the mask tree to subtract. I think our scene is just a little bit too bright. And let's go to effects and preset, take the curves effect and drop it onto our original footage. And then we're gonna drop it down for like a bit, RGB. And we're gonna increase the red value so that it looks fiery and hot. And then we're gonna press Ctrl C to duplicate this curves effect and go to the top layer and press Ctrl V to paste it. Let's rename it to stairs so we can easily see. Let's reorder the footage, so move the fires on tops of everything but below stairs. We might want to boost the transparency of this fire, so let's select this and go to effects and preset and look for curves, drop it onto here, and let's go to the alpha channel and boost up the white for a touch, and then go to the big fire as well. We're gonna boost up the alpha channel of this baby. Okay, in here we can lower the opacity of this layer. Press T and then just lower it for about 62. Next step we're gonna do is we're gonna recreate the burning light inside of the room. So let's go ahead and right click and then new solid, and then just rename it to room light. And then we're gonna select the color that's somewhat orange that can resemble the firelight, and then press OK. Then we're gonna turn this layer off, take the pen tool and mask out the inner part of the room. We can go ahead and mask out the gap of the door near the hinge as well. Once we're done, we're gonna turn this layer on and change the blending mode to add, and then lower the opacity for about, let's say 50. Press F on the keyboard, and then we're just gonna increase the feather for like 3. We don't want to do too much on this one. And then we're gonna bring this layer below the fire. Okay, let's create a vignette around this thing. So let's go and create a new solid and then just rename this to vignette and select the dark color. And then go to the top menu and hold down left click and then go to ellipse tool and then double click again in here. It will give you a circular mask, and then we're gonna go here and we're gonna change it to subtract and press F to bring out the feather and increase like a bunch. Or maybe you can press double M real quick to bring out all the mask property. And then we're just gonna play with the expansion. We just want to cover up the highlights at the corner. Let's go ahead and create a new adjustment layer. Right click, new adjustment layer, and take the curves effect and drop it onto here. So this will act as a general brightness of this fiery scenes area. So we want to boost up the red value for a bit, and then take the pen tool and then just draw around somewhere in here. We can make some adjustment of the mask, it looks natural. And then we're gonna press F to bring out the feather property and increase the mask feather property like a lot. Maybe you want to tone down the red for a little bit. Then we wanted to create another new adjustment layer. So this layer will act as a color adjustment for the place which is closer to the fire will have brighter color. Let's take the curves effect and drop it in here as well, and then just go in red channel and boost up a little bit, and go to the green and boost up maybe a touch. Just like that. Maybe you want to increase the RGB of this as well. And then we're gonna take the pen tool and then just draw around the mask where we think the fire would best describe and brighten up that spot. And then go to the layer and press F and increase the feather of both to like 50. Although it's just a minor detail like this one, it would add more depth into the shot. Now we're going to recreate the light that is being reflected onto the door from the fire and from inside the room. So to do that, just go ahead and create a new solid, and let's rename this door light and select the orange color and OK. Then we're just going to turn this layer off and move it below the room light. And let's just roughly mask out area, like how the fire hits on the wall, and then there's just like some lights behind, and how the fires in the room shines and reflected on the door as well. We're just gonna keep that thinking in mind, and then we can go ahead and turn this on. we're gonna press F and increase the feather for about 100. Then we're gonna change the blending mode to add, and then press T, and we're gonna type in an expression. Hold down Alt and then left click this stopwatch right here, and then we're gonna key in the expression wiggle 10 10, and then we're gonna change the value of this to about 15. And then if we solo preview this layer, we can see that it's kind of like flickering. We can go ahead and slow down the flicker process by changing the value at the front. It's much better. You can go to quarter and see how it flickers, and maybe the brightness is just like way too bright, and we can go ahead and change this as well, or even change this to 10. Just the subtle light like this would be fine. Then we're gonna go ahead and select the door light layer and hit Ctrl D to duplicate, and then we're gonna move it above the room light, and this one we're gonna rename it to firelight, and press M, and then we're gonna delete this mask, and then let's create a rough mask that would best describe the brightness of the fire. So it's just somewhat like this. Just create a rough mask, it doesn't have to be precise, and then press F and then hold shift to select both of this, and then we can just increase the feather for about this. Then we can go ahead and press T on the keyboard and then just put the drop down, and we're going to change the value to 0.5 and 1, and then we're going to set the initial to 15, and then when we play through, it has less flicker compared to the one at the door, so we might want to dim down this for a little bit as well. So let's go to door light, press T, let's go to the first frame, let's just make it like 10, maybe drop down. We're going to change the amplitude as well, so make it 5, something like that. Now let's go to the effects and preset and search for effect glow, and then we're gonna drag it and drop it onto our fire. We're gonna change the threshold to 0, and then glow radius to about 500, and then intensity for like 0.5, and then we're gonna change the glow color to A and B color, and change the color A to somewhat orangish like this. And then once we're done, we're gonna copy this and paste it onto other two fire as well. Last but not least, we can always go back and forth and make some adjustment necessary to get a best shot. For the final touch, let's go to effects and preset and look for an effect called force motion blur, and then we're gonna drag and drop it onto our fire footage, and then let's just copy and paste all of this in the other fire as well. Go ahead and use the same technique that I have teach in this video and overlay your smoke, fire sparks element footage into the shots to make it more depth and have more things going on, and maybe make some adjustment of the glow so it looks more realistic and vivid. You can also refer to my previous video on how I talk about integrating the grain and noise of the original footage into the CG element so it looks realistic. And that's it for this effect, guys. Once you learn this effect and tips from me, you don't have to burn down a room anymore to composite a fire burning shots. Let me know if you learned something. Comment in the section down below if you have any question regarding of this effect. I would love to help you out. Leave a like if you do enjoy this video and learn something. More realistic compositing inside of After Effects video coming this week, so stay tuned. My name is Steve Lee. Thanks for watching and keep learning.